हाँ. Hello, 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 hello,
Yes, sir.
hello,
Yes, sir. Yes.
hello.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah. So we'll start our journey to the lake. Today we are to also some photographs of different type of lakes. So can you see this screen type of lakes?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so different type of lathes are. This is important from the syllabus as well as from the question paper. So type of lathes are center lathe. Why it is called as the center lathe? Lathe between center. And another is engine lathe. Why it is
Excuse me, sir.
lathe? Because instead of motor, there is an engine for driving the spindle. Are also called as the machines can be mounted on the bench or on the table. Then capstan and turret lathe is used for the mass production. In case of all the operations are done automatic, only operator has to do the loading and unloading of the component. Multi-spindle lathes means there are more than one spindle, so that's why it is called the multi-spindle lathe. Vertical turret lathe, in which now so far what we are seeing, the axis is horizontal. In case of vertical turret lathe, the axis is vertical. And then lastly, computerized numerical control lathes, CNC lathes. In case of doubt, please ask me. This now you are very well aware why I am again showing this. This will come for 7 to 8 marks, this diagram. So, and every diagram is different. So finally you can draw this diagram. If it is for the 10 marks, then you can draw this diagram. See, this is what is your motor is. The motor is supply, electric supply. So it converts your electrical energy into mechanical energy. Means this shaft will start rotating. On this shaft, this pulley is mounted. I am showing progressively. If I would have shown this on the first lecture, you may not have understood. Now from this pulley, transferred to pulley. This is called the drive, this is called the driven. This pulley is mounted on a shaft. Now this stands for the, this particular symbol stands for the bearing. It stands for bearing. These symbols, it stands for the gears. If your vertical line है, that stands for the gears. So the shaft runs between the bearing. This is one bearing and this is another bearing. This whole thing is headstock. So there are mounted on this shaft. Then this is coupled. See now this
Hello,
gear.
sir.
Yeah. Yes.
Sir, Hasnan wants to join in.
Just a minute.
Alright, sir.
Yeah. Is in no? Omkar Parab and one more joined. Okay. So now this gear is meshed to this gear. So the drive will transmit from here to this shaft. Shaft there are this gear is meshed to this. So it transmits from here, and these gears are mounted on this shaft. So this gear is connected to this. So because when this shaft rotates, this gear will rotate. So this rotate, this gear is rotating. Because of this gear will rotate, this shaft will rotate. Now on this shaft you have another gear. See this. So this gear is meshed to this. So finally the drive will transmit it from here to here. This. Now this gear is mounted. So this is what is spindle, and on this spindle the workpiece is mounted. So this is how the drive is transmitted from the motor to the workpiece. And then whenever the speed change is required, you have to go on changing the speeds with the help of the clutch. This cross, ये जो cross है, that the meaning of this cross means this gear is fixed to the shaft. This gear is fixed to the shaft. If there is no cross, that means you have to understand the gear rotates freely on the shaft. The meaning of gear is fixed to the shaft means what? If this gear rotates, then this shaft will also rotate. If this gear is free, that means if this gear rotates, this shaft rotates. Because why? The gear is rotating freely on the shaft. I hope this is clear. This cross means the gear is fixed permanently to the shaft. That once this gear starts rotating, this shaft will also rotate. If this gear is free, it means if this gear will not rotate, it will disconnect the drive. Then you are familiar with the tailstock. You know the saddle. Saddle is nothing but the H-shaped portion. On the saddle, the tool post is mounted. Workpiece is clamped between the chuck. So there are two gearboxes always. One is headstock gearbox and another is feed gearbox. So feed is for the movement, for doing the movement. This is a very important concept for numerical. So again, in feed gearbox, there are different gears. See, these are the different gears, and this is the shaft. All right, this is the shaft. Fine. So now, how the feed gearbox receive the drive? Because of this motor, this rotates, then the headstock rotates, and look here now. This. See here. हॅलो हॅलो हां बोल ना बोल. म्हणजे लेक्चर चालू आहे ऑनलाईन चालू झालं आहे ना कॉलेज. मी तुला 1:45च्या आसपास फोन करतो. अर्जंट असेल तर बोल. मी 1 मिनिट ना म्हणजे 1 मिनिट ना म्यूट करतो. बऱ्याच दिवसाने भेटायला आला. Yeah, there are gears, many gears mounted on this. The screen is visible. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now the drive transmits. Please respond. When I think I am audible. No, my voice is clear. No, or I have to
Yes,
speak.
sir.
Yeah. So the drive transmits from headstock. It transmits to this shaft. Now again, this is a gear and this is a gear. All right. From here, the drive to this shaft. So this shaft will rotate on this. Now these gears rotate to fine. So again, this is the shaft. This is called the feed gear. The drive is transmitted from here to here, then from here, then from this sides it comes to this shaft. Again from these gears, the drive comes to this lead screw also. Fine. So from one motor, the drive goes to the headstock, from headstock the spindle, and then from spindle to this feed rod, and from feed rod it comes to the lead screw. Feed spindle start rotating. Not necessary that even feed shaft will also rotate or lead screw will also rotate, unless and until you engage this. If you engage this half nut, the half nut, see, you know the nut and bolt. This is what is nut is. Nut is mounted on the lead screw. Lead screw is always threaded. So if you engage this, then the threading will happen. All right. And similarly for the feed rod, lever to engage the feed and to disengage the feed. Fine. So this is how the drive is transmitted. We will not ask you the internal working, that how the spindle rotates, or how the longitudinal longitudinal feed happens, or how the cross feed happens. That much detail will not be asked, because the syllabus is very vast and we understand this much cannot be done by the student. This is how a pulley driven lathe will look like. It is also a light duty lathe. See, this is what at the back side you can see. So here the motor is there, and at the drive comes from here, from this motor. This is what is pulley is, and the belt is here. All right. And from here, this belt can be seen. The drive goes to the headstock. Now, what is this? This is an accessory. This is not a chuck, but this is a faceplate. This is faceplate. You have to remember. So on this faceplate, the component can be loaded. On this faceplate, component can be loaded and can be clamped. There is no chuck here. This is a faceplate. Faceplate is one of the accessory. Faceplate is one of the accessory of the lathe machine. So you have a lead screw here, and feed shaft is not so visible, but usually now in this machine the feed shaft is over here. Feed shaft is over here, and this is what is your lead screw is. Then this, but that was the previous one was belt driven. whereas this is your geared high speed. Geared high speed means what? You have motor here, and from the motor the drive transmit through the gears. The motor the drive transmit through the gear. So gear drive is more accurate, and that's why we call as a lathe all geared high speed precision. So whenever there is a question of accuracy and precision, we always go for all gear because there is no slip. As I had told, there is no slip, there is no loss, there is no loss. You get a same speed, a constant speed. Again, you have a feed shaft here, and you have a lead screw here. This is your tailstock, this is what is your headstock is, and these are levers which is used for obtaining the different speeds and different feeds. This is a big machine. Again, this is all geared. Now there is a mistake here. There is no X and Y movements. In this lathe machine, this axis is called as the Z axis, and this axis is called as the X axis. Always remember, the longitudinal axis is Z and the cross axis is X always. This is how there will be a labeling plate. On the labeling plate, you will see the different speeds, and here there are the positions of the lever. So if this lever is at this position, this lever is at this position, and if this lever at this, so there are 4 different positions. So for 4 different position, what speed you will get, so that is visible from this nameplate, that is from this. And similarly for the feed shaft, again you have to go on changing the levers, and it, according to the position of the levers, you can read what feed finally you are going to get. All right. Or suppose if you want a speed of say 500 rpm, then you have to see here where is my 500 rpm is, and accordingly you have to select, accordingly you have to position the levers, and same thing for the feed. These are the different machining which you are now familiar. Now in this facing, you know what is centering means, center drilling, rough and finish turning. Normally if you want a good precision or a good accuracy, then we do in 2 or 3 cuts. First cut is called the rough cut, second is called as the semi finish, and third is called the finish. We generally do finish turning by separate tools, that is finishing tool, and rough and semi finishing by roughing tool. Because if the quantity is 100 and 1000 pieces, if you use one tool, you will not get accuracy consistently. So that's why we, but in case of numericals, we assume that there is only one cut or 2 cuts if it is given in the problem. Otherwise we just assume that the component is finished only by one cut. Another different operations are sampling, you know. Shouldering means 90 degree, cutting 90 degree, that is a face or a collar. Growing, you know. Recessing, growing and recessing is same. Generally the width of the groove is 2 mm, of the groove is more. So instead of 2 mm, it is 5 mm, then we call it as a recess. So recessing is nothing but a groove only, but a wider groove. Just a minute. This is nothing but a wider groove. Then another important question from examination point of view, taper turning. So this you must write down, and you must understand this. What the question be, what are, explain the different methods of taper turning. Very important question, taper turning. So there are 5 different ways. I must question 5 different ways. One is by offsetting the tailstock. Means what? You move the tailstock not in longitudinal direction, in transverse direction. Transverse direction means what? Perpendicular to this screen, perpendicular to the screen. All right. So now what you are doing, if you move the tailstock perpendicular to the screen, that means you are moving that dead center. That means your workpiece will automatically be tapered. Workpiece is rotated, taper. So obviously you will get a taper cutting. Normally nobody uses this because once the taper turning is done, then again you have to bring the tailstock to its normal position. And once you bring the normal position, you have to again do the alignment of live center and dead center using a test mandrel. So this all becomes, expensive, and there is loss of time also. So generally we don't use this offsetting the tailstock. Wherever the tailstock is there, we keep it that only, and we move tailstock only in longitudinal direction. That is basically for the drilling. Then another method for taper turning is swelling the compound slide. Swelling the compound slide means you can rotate the compound slide. This is the most popular method we use, swelling the compound slide. जो ऊपर का slide है, which is called the compound slide, which is also called the top slide, is swell. And then you have to move that compound slide manually so that you get the taper. Third method is, so this second method is widely used. Third method is using form tool with the taper over short length. That means suppose whatever taper you have, say 5 degree, 10 degree, that taper is grind on the tool itself, and the tool is plunge on the workpiece. So it is kind of a form turning. So whatever degree is grind on the tool, that is replicated on the workpiece. So this is a kind of a form turning. So limitation of this is you cannot cut longer tapers. Generally, this form tool is used for or up to 25 mm or maximum 30 mm taper length, not more than 30 mm. Because if the length of the taper is more, so obviously the length of the tool or the width of the tool increases. So there will be contact. So there will be lot of forces, and the tool will become blunt or it may not cut properly. So that's why this form tool method is used for cutting tapers only up to a length of 25 to 30 mm. Swelling the compound slide is restricted to 100 mm. Is restricted to 100 mm length of taper. Then now, if you want to turn taper more than 100 mm, say 200 mm or say 250 mm, then what to do? So for that, you have taper turning attachment. So this also is used widely. Swelling the compound slide up to 100 mm, form tool up to 25 mm, taper turning attachment. It's a special attachment which is to be attached on the lathe machine, and generally it is used for cutting longer tapers, more than 100 mm, 200, 300, like that it is. Then fifth method is combining longitudinal feed and cross feed. That means you are moving both the slides, that is cross slide as well as longitudinal slide. That is, you are controlling both the feeds simultaneously, longitudinal as well as cross. So the effect of this both the feeds moving simultaneously will be to cut the taper. So this again has to be done manually. So this particular taper depends upon the skill of the operators. So it is not that accurate, but for smaller tapers definitely you can use this method. I hope all these five methods are clear of taper turning. So I hope these five methods are clear, out of which these three methods are used frequently. Then next is boring. Boring is enlarging the existing hole. That is, you have drilled a hole. Like suppose my bore size or hole size is say 35.67. So 35.67 you cannot drill. No, drill is not available. So what we do, we first do center drilling, then we use a drill of say 10, then 20, then 30, then 35. Now 35.67 ka drill is not available. So you have to do boring. Boring is nothing but a insert or a small tool which has to be inserted inside the hole, and cutting has to be done. Forming means, like suppose if we have a radius on the workpiece, so that radius has to be grind on the tool, and then tool is to be plunged on the workpiece. This operation is called as the forming. Remember, this is a forming operation on lathe machine. It is not a forming process. It is not a forming, that joining and forming process what you learn. So this is just one of the operation on the lathe. It is not a forming process. It is not a joining process, or it is not a sheet metal process. It is a type of operation. Please do not confuse. Hmm? Like suppose if somebody asks for the forming process, then you have to answer forming processes means rolling, powder metallurgy, casting, etc., which gives the forms to the product, or which gives shape to the product. Whereas here this forming means a type of operation which is performed on a lathe machine. Then thread cutting, external as well as internal, parting off and knurling. Most of these operations you have seen, isn't it? I have shown you the video. Now you may not have understood that caption lathe and turret lathe. So that's why I am showing this. This machine is caption lathe. This machine is caption lathe. So this is a turret here. This is a turret. Now this is one guideway, and there is one more slide, that is this. There is one more. Now this slide is mounted on this. This is your slide. On the main slide you have auxiliary, and on the auxiliary side the turret moves. And this machine is called as the caption lathe. Whereas in turret lathe, this is mounted directly on the main slide. Like imagine our center lathe. So in center lathe, you have tailstock on the right hand side. So in case of turret, the tailstock is replaced by a turret. We know the turret moves longitudinally on center lathe. So in turret lathe, the turret moves longitudinally. In case of caption lathe, the turret is mounted on auxiliary slide, and auxiliary slide is mounted on the main slide or on the main guideway. So this is the difference between caption and turret. In caption there is auxiliary slide, in turret there is no auxiliary slide. In caption is used for light jobs, for light machining. Turret is used for heavy jobs, for heavy machining, because it can take the load of the tools, because the turret is mounted directly on the guideways. So 3-4 differences you can write on your own. This is what, generally the caption lathe, it has a very small stroke, caption lathe. Whereas turret, like caption lathe ka stroke is generally 100 millimeter, whereas turret lathe ka stroke is more. It can be even up to 1.5 meter long, turret lathe. Whereas caption lathe stroke is 300. So that is another difference. So first difference I said of the slide. In case of caption lathe, there is auxiliary slide. Second difference I said, caption lathe is used for lighter job, lighter machining. Then fourth difference, you can write caption lathe, the stroke is up to limited up to 300, and like that you can go on adding. Caption, and another most important difference is caption. In case of caption lathe, the accuracy is more. So caption lathe is more accurate than turret lathe. This is the most important difference. In case of caption lathe, you can get an accuracy of 2 microns. 2 microns means 0.002 millimeter. Whereas in case of turret, you will get an accuracy of 5 microns. So generally the caption lathes are more accurate. But limitation is that caption lathe are used for lighter work and not for the heavier work. See, now this is, by this time you should be able to identify. Now this is your turret lathe. See, now there is no auxiliary slide, which you had seen in the last slide. There is no auxiliary slide. The turret is directly mounted on this slide, guideways. So this entire assembly moves like your tailstock. Understand? So that's why tools, whatever are mounted in this turret, are rigid. There is no vibration. The tools which are mounted here are rigid and there is no vibration. Right? So this can be used for heavy jobs or it can be used for heavy machining as well. Now this is which machine? Definitely Capson. What is the brand? The brand is Ward, WARD. This is the brand, WARD. Why it is caption lathe? Because see, this is the turret, and this turret is mounted on this slide. This slide is auxiliary slide. This slide is auxiliary slide. This auxiliary slide is mounted on this main slide or guideways. This also can be moved and locked to a certain position. All right, and then drilling, boring, etc. can be done with the help of this slide. All right. So there is no good rigidity because now when this moves turret ahead, then it acts like a overhang. When this slide moves here, when it comes here, then it acts like a overhang. Right? It acts like a overhang. So this is a typical caption lathe. It is also called as the mini turret lathe. Remember, it is also called as the mini turret lathe. Generally, these machines are semi-automatic. Now you can see one bar kind of things here. So this is your workpiece material, round material or a round workpiece which comes inside. It can be pulled automatically. This workpiece can be pulled automatically. That is what is called the bar feeding attachment. Bar feeding attachment. This is called the bar feeding attachment. That means once the one component is done, it is part of, then this bar is pushed or bar is pulled, everything automatically with the help of this weight. With the help of, this is a weight, this weight is used for pulling the bar. So once one component is over, it falls down, then this chuck or collet, it opens, then the bar is pulled desired length, there is a bar stopper, and then it is clamped or in a collet, then cycle begins. That is the machining begins. Again, moment all the machining activities are done, then it is part of, the component falls down, then again the collet or chuck opens, the bar is pulled to the desired length, it is stopped by bar stop, then it is clamped and cycle begins. So this whole thing is automatically till this material is finished. When this material is finished, then operator has to load or insert another round bar from the back side. So the operator presence is required only for loading and unloading this component, and that's why it is called the automatic lathe. In fully automatic, even the loading and unloading is also manual. That means once the machine starts, then nobody has to go there. No operator, or we say operator intervention, is not required. That is in case of fully automatic. That is the difference. There are some features, we call it the diagnostic features. That is, if something goes wrong, then it gives you siren or different kinds of lamps are there. So if something goes wrong, if machining is not happening, then the red lamp will lit. That means the people or the engineer or the supervisor on the shop will understand, because these are unmanned, automatic. The moment that red light lights, or if there is a siren, then engineer will go or supervisor will go to that machine particularly, will identify what is the problem, whether the tool is blunt, or any other issues. He'll resolve it and again fix it back. This is again a caption lathe, mini caption. Why it is called the mini caption lathe? Because it is very small, very small. So again here this hexagonal turret is mounted on the auxiliary slide. You can see this handle, so this handle is used for moving the auxiliary slide. This handle is used for moving the handle. Again, this is used for lighter product or lighter component. These are the specifications. I have been telling you that question can come. What are the different specifications of the machine? So, what are the different specification of caps and lathe? So, what is the maximum collet capacity? Means what? From that collet, what is the maximum bar that can be passed? So, if somebody says मेरे पास 25 का कैप्सन लेथ है, 25 का कैप्सन लेथ है, it means 25 mm bar will pass. 32 means 32 mm round bar will be passed. 42 millimeter means 42 millimeter round bar will be passed. So obviously the spindle bore has to be little bigger than this, because if the spindle bore is also say 25, then 25 में 25 round bar will not go. So the capstan lathe is specified by the spindle bore as well as by the collet capacity. Collet I will show you the picture. Then length of the bed, that is nothing but the traverse. So now in this case, the important parameters are spindle bore, that is one, and second is this distance between spindle to turret, that is called as the admit, but the maximum length, and third is maximum diameter of the workpiece. Now that maximum diameter of the workpiece will not be applicable here in capstan, because in capstan and turret lathe we use a round bar. So that's why in case of capstan lathe or turret lathe, the important specifications are spindle bore and the distance between spindle to turret face. In case of normal center lathe, the important specification are distance between the spindle and the tailstock, and another is what can be mounted or that done. Then there are other parameters specification, that is what speeds are available, what is the length of the blade, then what is the effective travel, and what is the power required, what is the feed rates available, so much. But important specification you have to give, that is spindle bore diameter and the maximum distance between spindle. That is what we have to give. Now this is called as the vertical turret lathe. So far seen is horizontal lathe machine. Horizontal lathe machine. Now this is like a vertical lathe machine. Now this is a workpiece. With this is your workpiece. This workpiece is mounted on this. This particular thing is called as a table. This is called as a table, or it is also called as the face plate. You have seen chuck. So now the chuck, which was horizontal, vertical. All right. Now this component is hold on this face plate with the help of this clamp. And you see internally, one clamp, two clamp, third clamp, fourth clamp, like that it is. Why it is hold form internally? Because the operation has to be done on the diameter externally. This groove, it is a forming operation. This groove has a radius. This growing operation is done. That's why the component is clamped internally. Now, where is your turret? This is what is your turret is. Turret need not be hexagonal. In case of turret lathe or capsule lathe, the turret is hexagonal. In case of center lathe, the front tool post can be called as a turret. It is four-way tool post. That is, four tools can be mounted. In case of capstan lathe, hexagonal turret. Now here it is pentagonal. Generally, this. Now this can be rotated, this faceplate, like your lathe, and this particular tool which is mounted on this turret, it's a pentagonal. That means 5 tools can be mounted here. This tool can be moved up and down like this, up and down, as well as this can be moved in this direction. There are two motions. Like our normal lathe. Normal lathe में कैसा? There is a longitudinal feed and there is a cross feed. So same thing here. This can be moved this way and can be moved up and down, two axes. Remember, on lathe machine, minimum two axes has to be there, minimum two axes. Then depending upon the complexity, it can be three axis or four axis, turn mill, etc., etc. Now this is what is called as the telescopic covers. Why it is telescopic means it can be folded, it can be compressed, like your aerial, you know, no? Which is on the car, or your three-fold umbrella or two-fold umbrella. It can be folded, isn't it? In a single fold. So like that, these are the rubber telescopic covers which can be compressed. And these telescopic covers are mounted on this so that it protects the slide. Because what happens when machining is happening, at time the chips are generated. If these chips goes and hit these slides, then it will cut the slides also, because the chips are hot and chips has cutting action, abrasive action. So that hot and sharp chips can damage your slides. Once the slides are damaged, even a small burr or even a small cut can spoil the accuracy of the entire machine. So that's why generally it is covered by these telescopic covers. Generally, the rubber material is used, rubber. Nowadays, we use sheet metal, or we say patra, sheet metal covers. Because why? Even the rubber also can be punctured because of the chips. The chips are hot and sharp, isn't it? If the chips flies here, it can cut the rubber also. So rubber is not safe. So that's why nowadays the sheet metal covers are used widely. Sheet metal cannot be punctured with the help of the, due to the chips, flying chips. So that increases the accuracy. So question can be asked for 1 or 2 marks. What is the function of the telescopic covers? You should be able to answer it. This particular machine is CNC machine. See, you can see this. You can see this arm. This arm is for cables to pass. The cable means wires. These wires goes to this arm, to the motors. X-axis motor, Z-axis motor, coolant motor. Then there are many motors, 4 5 motors. So there are many. So the wires are bunched together and passes. This wire, bunch of wire, is also called as the bus, BUS. This is a computer. So this particular is actually a programmable machine. Again, this is a, now again this is a vertical lathe, but if you can see carefully, there are two turrets mounted here. This is one turret and this is another turret. Two tools mounted here. That means two operations can be done simultaneously. This is your workpiece. This is one tool and this is another tool. Two operations can be done simultaneously. But generally, this machine is not popular. Only for certain type only, or if the components quantity is more, then only we go for this. Otherwise, normally this two turret heads, this is one head and this is another head. So where the quantity is less, we don't use. Even the quantity is more also, we don't use, because machine is not that accurate. Another photo of vertical turret lathe. Now this is computerized. See, here you can see the pentagonal turret clearly. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, isn't it? And this is what is your workpiece is. Workpiece. So maybe drill mounted here. This is a boring bar. Maybe growing tool. So OD turning as well as ID turning, both the operations can be, or both the tools can be mounted on this turret. All right. This is a guard which is necessary, because if the component flies off, the operator is standing here, it can cause, the accident can be fatal also. It can cause the deaths, not only to the operator but any somebody who is around. Then multi-spindle leg. Now this is 6 spindles. Now where are the spindles here? This is third, 4, 5 and 6. So this is for the multi-spindle. So 6 components are being turned simultaneously. 6 production will be 6 times. The components are loaded here. 1. See, it is like this. Either you can load the 6 components, that is 6 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 bars. See, this is a hollow. ऐसा hollow है. So 6 bars or the different operations in the same workpiece. So one operation here, say OD turning, then then this component moves to this. So growing, then it moves here, maybe threading, then here drilling, then boring, and then part off. So like that also this machine can be used. So it can be used in 2 different ways. Either you load 6 components at a time, that means in one cycle you are getting 6 components, or you load one component and 6 different operations can be done simultaneously. Both the way, your productivity is high, 6 times than the normal single spindle machine. So 6 spindle output will be almost 6 times the single spindle machine. So we have 6 to 8 spindle automatic lathes available in the market. Various operations that can be done are boring, turning, chamfering, screw cutting, gluing, etc. All right, I'll close this. Let's go for another. Now this I have uploaded. Can you see this? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir. Introduction to manufacturing process.
Yeah. So now what I'm going to, yeah, this I have uploaded. What I'm going to do, only because this is a big, almost 84 slides are there. Okay, so what I'm going to do from the examination point, I'm going to reduce it. Maybe 10 to 12 slides, maybe 10 to slides. Fine. All right. So slides are important. I will delete whatever are the important. I will keep, and unwanted delete it. Then upload it. So this is self-explanatory. You can go through it, and in case of doubts, you can definitely find. So manufacturing processes can be divided into like processing operation and assembly operation. In processing operations can be divided into shaping, then property enhancing, and surface processing. Now what are the shaping processes? Solidification, particulate, deformation, material removal. Material removal means your chip removal. Then property changing processes, like this is heat treatment. Heat treatment. So heat treatment is very important process. With the help of heat treatment, you can change the hardness of the component. You can change the wear resistance. You can change the abrasive property. So that's why the heat treatment is very, very important. Then surface processing. What are the different surface processing operation? Cleaning, coating, like nickel plating, chrome plating, galvanizing. So these are your coating and deposition processes. Then joining process. Joining processes means welding, brazing. This you are familiar. Adhesive bending, bonding. Then assembly process. So Assembly processes, now these are the permanent joining process, whereas mechanical fastening may threaded and permanent fastening methods. Two are used. So threaded means you are using nut and bolts. So nut and bolts, suppose if you are using, it can be dismantled whenever you want. Permanent fastening means you are using rivets. You must have seen railway platforms or railway bridges, the riveted joints. So it cannot be dismantled easily. You have to drill it. So that is your permanent fastening method. So this is threaded. Adhesive bonding, bonding means like you are using paste, gum paste. So I think these are all clear, these shaping processes. Shaping processes means what? Which gives the shapes to the product. So of course, this slide is important. Solidification, particulate processing, deformation process. Because the question can be asked, explain the, describe the different type of manufacturing processes. So for this, you have to draw this flow chart. Then not in detail, but you should know what is shaping operation. So shaping operation means what? It will give the shape or it will alter the geometry of the workpiece material. Like you have a bar, some from the bar you are making some different products. Property enhancing means what? It will change the property. Like initially it is soft, because of the heat treatment you are making it hard. So that is what is your property enhancing. Surface processing means cleaning, coating, so painting, galvanizing, these are all surface processing operations. So in shaping process, this slide is also important. Shaping processes, solidification, particulate, deformation process, and material reform. What is meaning of solidification processes? That is casting. That is you are heating material, then you are making it into liquid form, and then you are pouring it in the cavity. Then after solidification you get the shape of the cavity, like I told you that idli and modak, remember that. Hmm. Particulate processing, this is also called as the powder metallurgy. So here the material is of powders, metal powders, that is what you use. So this another name is powder metallurgy. Deformation means like your drawing operations or your rolling operation or forging where the shape is deformed. So material has to be a ductile. Ductile means it can be drawn into wires. That is called the ductile. Malleable, there is another property called as the malleable. Malleable means it can be drawn into sheets. That is your malleable. Then material removal process. So in material removal process, the material has to be a ductile or it can be brittle. So material removal process means what we have discussed: lathe, drilling, milling, etc. So this slide is also important. Then solidification processes. This is casting. See now what we are doing here. This is a molten material, and this is what is your mold is. So in mold, this cavity is cut. This is a sand casting mold. That means the mold is made out of sand. The mold also can be made out of metal also, like the molds which are used on the injection molding or on the die casting machines, right? So this is your molten material. Once it gets solidified, then you have to lift this. You have to lift this, the top portion is called as the cope, and the bottom portion is called as the drag. And once this is lifted, then you can get this component. This is what is your solid casting. This is a casting which you want, and you have to throw this. This is a scrap, screw and runner. This has to be cut from here, and it can be sent for the remelting. Right? Particular process is powder metallurgy. You don't have in this semester. Powder metallurgy, I will just tell you that is like, suppose if you want to make a tablets, अपना जो tablets रहता है ना medicines का, और even खाने का also जो tablets रहता है ना, small boys, chimney, kaula, those kind of tablets. So how those kind of tablets are made? You have a die, you have lower punch and you have upper punch. Hmm. In this die, the shape of the component is given. It can be round, it can be this, it can be round, it can be helix or any shape. Sparrow, hmm, heart shape, hmm, with a love mark, anything. And then powder is kept, and then it is pressed between this upper punch and lower punch, so that you get that particular shape of the die. Even the punch is also given the shape. Punches, the shape is cut here like this. That is what is called the concavity. So whatever shape is given or whatever shape is cut on the punch, upper punch and lower punch, that shape appears on this. So you will get a oval kind of shape here if the punch has ovality. So this is your powder mechanism. Then you have a deformation process. Deformation process means what? You are applying a pressure here. You are applying a pressure on a heated material. All right. This is a forging. Forging means you are heating the material. This is what is called the die. And of course the material will spread little bit. So that is called the flash. So this flash has to be cut later on. This flash has to be cut later on. So this is the forging. Forging means heating material above recrystallization temperature and then giving the shape die which is cut inside the die. Then another operation, forming operation, is extrusion. Like now this is the material which is in the billet form. Billet means it's a square bar, of course in heated condition, and this is your die. This is what is your die is. So whatever shape is there inside the die, it can be round, it can be square, it can be hexagonal, that shape appears. So this is a push kind of extrusion. Push. So why push? Because the material is pushed here. And if it is pulled, see, extrusion, there are two types: push extrusion and pull extrusion. If it is a pull kind, means you are pulling the material. Push means you are pushing, like our toothpaste. In the morning we brush our um, teeth, isn't it? So what we are doing that time, we are pushing the paste, isn't it? So that is a kind of a extrusion. That is a kind of a extrusion process, push extrusion. Then material removal processes. So this turning, drilling, milling. So these are called as the chip removal processes. Chip removal processes. This. Then these are all forming processes. Forming processes. Casting, powder metallurgy, extrusion. This is machining. Then this is joining two pieces. Means like a welding or 3D printing. So whatever the important slides are there, that only I will keep, and rest of the slides I will delete it. You have some important things like abrasive process and non-traditional process. Abrasive means grinding. Non-traditional means you are using energy in the form of heat or vibrations or in the form of a laser. Again, material removal process. So this slide is important. Material removal, that is chip removal process, is classified into different. So like conventional machining, abrasive process, and non-traditional machining. So this slide is also important. Non-traditional machining is based on mechanical energy, electrochemical. We say electrochemical etching. Thermal energy means your EDM or wire EDM. Chemical machining means chemicals are used to machine, because chemicals can erode, isn't it? Can erode the material. Then these are not required. These are not required. These are not required. Right? So whatever important slides from examination point of view, I will keep, and I will upload it again. Fine. So that 84 slides, I will come. I will reduce it to around 15 to 20 slides. So it will be easy for you to learn. You have now next class, isn't it, at 12:30? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, at
Yeah.
12:30.
So if you have any questions, you can quickly ask. If you have any doubts, we have still 2 minutes. Yeah, Mahadik, Rutika Mahadik. Shubham, are you there? Shubham Jadhav, are you there? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah. So, what do you mean by, I'll just ask you, what is the difference between, only one difference, only you tell me. Even if you don't know, fine, no problem. No need to discourage. What is the difference between capstan lathe and turret lathe? Only one difference. Capstan lathe and turret lathe. Anybody else? Sahil, are you there? Hello, Sahil. See, caption length is a difference between caption and turret.
Sir, the slide,
Yeah, correct. Yeah, please.
one is based on auxiliary and one is directly on the saddle.
Perfect. Very good. So in case of caption, there is the auxiliary slide, and in case of turret, there is no auxiliary slide. The turret is directly mounted on the main slide. Very good. Hmm? Yeah. Uh, can you name 2 or 3 chip removal process? Chip removal process, or what is the difference between chip removal and chipless process? Or any example of chipless
So
process?
drilling and turning.
Yeah, these are chip removal, and chipless means there are no chips. So any example? Press. You know press, mechanical press. So embossing, you know, no? The raised letters on the belt. All right. So that is embossing. Any operation on the press. So there are no chips. So that is for the chipless. All right. Thank you very much. We'll stop here. Yeah.
So grinding will also come under cheap removal.
No, grinding is a chip removal, because that grinding the chips will come, no? Grinding may.
Okay.
So that is a chip removal
So,
process.
but those are like very fine, like very fine.
Yeah, fine, but it is chip removal process, but with fine chips,
Okay.
but it will come under the category of chip removal. Huh?
Okay.
Whereas etching, suppose very fine material is removed, or say laser beam, very fine material, comes under the chipless. It comes under the chipless process.
Okay, so
Sir,
Okay.
knurling is also chipless, huh?
Knurling is a chipless. There are no chips. Knurling. Correct. Very good. You know stamping, no, press mein. So that is again a chipless. Rolling is a chipless. Wire drawing is a chipless process. No chips produced. All right. So
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
shall we stop?
Yes,
Because
sir.
maybe you will have to join next lecture.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no next lecture 12:30.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then thank you all of you. You can leave the
Yes, sir.
meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So numericals will take in the next lecture.
Yes, sir.
Numericals will take in the next lecture. But for next lecture, you please have calculator and notebook.
Yes, sir.
Post it on the classroom also for the numeric. You should have calculator and notebook with you ready. Bobre, you want to ask anything? You are still in the meeting.